Hey, folks, happy Friday and welcome to the Freedom from the Press podcast. My name's Jason Robertson, and I'm here with my partner in crime,
Todd Pearson. Jason, I'm going to start the show off with a bang here, folks. Thanks for joining us, by the way. My wife is on a work trip. I slept alone in the bed last night, and I'm feeling so good today. I don't think she's listening today because she's off doing her work conference here, but my goodness, a bed to yourself, kids slept all night. I'm ready to rock and roll, Jason.
Oh, my God. And you got your Split Rock Coffee, splitrockcoffee.com. Use promo code
Todd. Didn't even have to share with the wife. Things are good today, Jason.
Yeah, see, and Jen, J-Rob from MN, she works from home, but she had to go to the office today. So it's me and the dogs and the contractors hanging out because we're getting our kitchen redone, which Todd does all this construction stuff himself. I have no ability to do it, but man, it's going to be exciting when it gets done.
Oh, I love this, Jason. We are talking about Kristi Noem today. I think we got to dive into it. Folks, we're talking about Kristi Noem. We're talking about Jasmine Crockett getting the boot from Congress. Wait till you see who's going to replace her, though, in the Texas Senate race. We got Iran. I have a lot of thoughts on Iran. But Anthony's over there saying Kristi Noem got a promotion, Jason.
Yeah, he's kind of right, kind of wrong. I mean, we'll get into it. Where do we start? Todd, I think the first thing we got to start, we got a lot of viewers that watch me during the week on Wayne's podcast, and I've been talking about Iran. You aren't doing your during the week podcast. So this is a first chance for the folks to get your quick 2-3 minute take on what are you making of this thing in Iran?
I got to start with this, Jason. Last summer, if you go back in the time machine, we were told that a strategic strike, remember when the B-52s left Missouri, they snuck around the world, no one was waiting for them. We took out some nuclear facilities, apparently, and that was the end of the program. But now here we have to strike Iran again because they're developing a nuclear program. So I'm trying to square the circle of, did we get lied to then? Are we getting lied to now? So I got questions about the Trump administration and what they are doing here. But I will say this, Jason. I have no problem being America first and taking a strike first position when it comes to potential threats facing America. Donald Trump has alleged that Iran was behind his attempted assassinations. I think it's fairly well known that Iran is funding all these other terrorist groups in the Middle East. And so if it makes America safer to strike first with our incredible military apparatus, I'm fine with that. But again, don't make me defend the American government when it comes to just going around the world being the world's police, because I'm not a fan of the U.S. government in general. I certainly don't love what war has become, where you can drone anybody from outer space and they're gone in an instant. Don't think that they couldn't apply that same practice to you if you start speaking out against a future regime. So I'm very conflicted, Jason. The long story is I'm very conflicted. I'm not crying over Iran. I'm not crying over Khomeini's death, or as Trump put it, we had someone else in line and then he was dead too. And we had maybe a third person picked out to be leader of Iran and he might be dead as well. So Trump's making some hilarious comments about this. I could care less what happens to the corrupt Iranian tyrants over there. I also don't care about their freedom, Jason. I don't want to get involved in liberating Iranians. That is their problem, their country, their issues to deal with here. We got our own problems back home. I will say this too, Jason. Again, I got a lot of thoughts on Iran here. Why is it we can send our military around the world and clean up streets? And I'm looking at Minneapolis, Detroit, Los Angeles, Austin, Chicago, New York City, you name it, run down the list of Democrat-run hellholes. Can we nuke some of our own cities at some point? Can we just say we're going to send in the military to Minneapolis tomorrow and there will be no more drug users, homeless, anti-ICE agitators? Can we just clean up our own streets? What is the bigger threat facing us? Is it the Ayatollah? Or is it Democrat-run hellholes that allow them to just re-release violent criminals, and you might ride a subway, get stabbed in the neck. You might be walking your dog down the street and get pummeled by a bunch of thugs. Like, can we pick a lane here? Can we just put America first? So I'll let you take over, Jason. I got more thoughts, but I'll let you use the microphone.
I was going to say, I think you're kind of landing where I am, which I don't want America involved in anything outside of America. From the start, I'm like, get us out of the Middle East, quit sending foreign aid, like let countries run countries. And in my lifetime, it's been all these interventionist wars where we go topple a government and do something. And then look at Afghanistan. We overthrow the Taliban. They start growing poppies again with the CIA to start the drug trade again. And then billions of dollars later, Taliban's back in charge. It's like not everywhere in the world is America. You can't just hand them a constitution and suddenly they're going to be good citizens. On that note, though, I will say Donald Trump normally has that approach where he is non-interventionalist. And he's not above using a targeted strike to go get Maduro or blowing up an ISIS person or whatnot. But this one's different, and I don't know what's different. And I'm hoping we're going to learn why this is different, why we're doing this now, because something's not adding up. And I mean, you brought up Trump's mentioned, like Iran tried to kill him a couple times. It sounds like evidently they're talking about, they almost have a nuclear weapon, which they've been saying as long as Democrats have said Florida is going to be underwater, so climate change. So like, I don't know what changed, and I'm waiting to see. It kind of reminds me a bit of the Epstein files, where the messaging coming out of the administration just hasn't been great. And as somebody who just doesn't want us involved in any of these shenanigans, like I'm just not a fan. It feels like to me, we've got our little buddy Israel, and we go, and like it's like going to the bar with one of your friends when you were young, and he picked a fight with everybody in the bar, and then you're always ending up getting in fights. And like, I might not go to the bar with that guy anymore because I just don't want to get my butt kicked.
Yeah, I will say this though, Jason. I trust Donald Trump more than any other president, which is not saying a lot. I don't trust any politician. But this is a man that's made peace around the world among warring factions that they said peace could never be accomplished here. And it feels different because, and I don't know how everyone's not outraged about this. Turns out you don't need to do foreign forever wars. You can just bomb people in strategic
things.
You don't need boots on the ground. Turns out we didn't need to be in Iraq and Afghanistan for 20 years, spending trillions of dollars, costing thousands of American lives. You can just fly a plane, drop some huge bombs, maybe drone them a little bit, and get out. Right. So the idea that we're going to have boots on the ground here, which I don't buy those rumors. Trump's going to strategically attack them. Iran will come to the bargaining table. And Trump did blame Iran. He said they could have negotiated in good faith. They could have said, okay, we're done developing our nuclear program, and there wouldn't have had to be intervention. So I don't want to blame Trump. Trump's not the aggressor. It's not his fault. It is Iran's fault that they are now getting bombed to oblivion, as they probably deserve, because they didn't comply. And if you have to ask me, who do you want running the world? Iran, China, Russia, the United States? Again, don't make me defend the American government, but I would much rather choose us over somebody else having dominance.
Right. Well, and it's funny, like, I really hope Donald Trump like takes over our cities. Like, my wife and I had to go down to Minneapolis for something. Todd and I live in Minnesota, and I'm like, there's blocks I just don't want to get out of the car. Like, come on, it's crazy.
Yeah, look at this. Dennis over on the Facebook. Dennis, this is a Rumble type comment. Find us at rumble.com, the American Tribune. He agrees Trump needs to get to work on American cities, states, and tear down all the woke BS. Amen, brother. Thanks for watching, Dennis, over on the Facebook here. Margaret, I agree with Todd. Always nice to get a Facebook agreement from Margaret. Margaret, you can find us on Rumble as well. We do a special half hour, Jason and I, where we get really spicy, where they don't censor our speech. Rumble.com, the American Tribune.
Yeah.
Dee Dee. We got Fally. Look at you. We got Kev over at Kev is watching it 10 a.m. local time already. Normally Kev waits an hour for the Rumble only.
Yeah, and we had Mark and Francis first one over on the Rumble chat. And if we haven't said it already, guys, we love hanging out with you on Friday. It's kind of funny. During the week, Todd and I, like, we communicate every day doing work stuff, but we never get to talk about this stuff. So we enjoy hanging out with you guys and like Todd's take, my take on Iran and on Kristi Noem. Like, this is all new stuff. Should we play the Iran sleeper cell video too, Todd?
We're talking about Iran. Let's have a little humor with Iran, folks. And the sleeper cells. All right, we all heard about the sleeper cells. Whatever happened to them? Oh boy, Jason, I am having some technical difficulties. I cannot find the correct layout here. My screen won't cooperate.
Uh-oh.
Are you able to do that?
Let me try. Oh God, no, it's not in there. Oh wait, here. Is that it?
Thank goodness for you.
Oh my God. When I'm doing the technical, this is funny. All right, so I found this video, and because it's a question that's come up. I think Mark asked it on the Wayne podcast, or somebody did in the chat, where they're like, I wonder what happened to the Iranian sleeper cells. Because there was one guy in Texas with the Alashert who went in and shot up a bunch of people, but there hasn't been an activation. So I went down the rabbit hole a bit, and this was the best video I could find. So I take it away.
And then Barry and Barbara, we will touch your comments after this video.
Discovered Latino women. So I spoke to one of my sources this morning. He was telling me that, look, once upon a time, the Iranian sleeper cell thing was real. Well, they got jobs, they got integrated into communities, and then they started losing the radicalism. They started loving our country. They started really loving being an American. But something very specific caught their eye. And according to my friend, one of the greatest factors for why the Iranians decided to depart their mission was they discovered Latino women.
Protect big booty Latinas!
Big booty Latinas.
Big booty Latinas.
The Iranians said, I'd much rather die for that than for
No, not die at all and get me some big booty Latina instead of doing a suicide mission and dying.
Yes.
So they're in Miami.
Yes.
So the Iranian sleeper cells were real. They were here. So they rounded up the radicals, right? That's the part of the story that you need to. They were ended up catching the radicals, but the ones who didn't radicalize, it was because they got some Latina booty.
They got some
and
Latinas.
They're partying it up
met
in Miami.
A beautiful Latino woman who cooked for them, probably had tons of kids.
I would say this is absolutely ridiculous, but your source has never been wrong.
Well, there you have it, folks. We stopped terrorism with a tale as old as time, Jason. Instead of it's like the opposite of a honeypot operation, though.
Right. I got to say, too, of all the theories, because even in the chats, people are thinking like John's over here. Did you think you had to do to stop from the sleeper cells that the Biden administration let in? John, if you watch the show, we're really concerned about that. Open borders are ridiculous. And once again, just so everybody's clear, we're not saying Trump's doing the wrong thing, the right. Like, it's not our choice to get involved in any of these other countries' stuff. And I wish I knew what they knew. I hope this isn't a weapons of mass destruction situation. Because for those who don't know, we got into Iraq because of weapons of mass destruction, and then it turned out there really weren't any. So
they knew that. They knew that the whole time, but they told us otherwise.
Right. But yeah, but so when I went down the rabbit hole, I'm like, that somebody said that the other day, and it brought up, it's a good question. Like, I wonder if there's any theories for why. And it kind of makes sense because life in Iran's not that great. And you figure they're like, oh, we're going to send them over to America. And they settle in and they discover a Starbucks and they discover all these different things. And they discover big booty Latinas. And they're like, why would we blow up this country? I don't know. I think it's funny.
Man, America's so awful, Jason. They send the worst people on the planet, radical Muslim fanatics, and they get converted to our way of life. And our way of life has its flaws, make no mistakes. The whole loose woman idea thing, I'm not a big fan of. But if it stops terrorism, I say send them all in. Send in the sororities to all these Middle Eastern countries. We don't need forever wars in the Middle East. We just need sorority girls.
Right. Yeah, airdrop the booty Latinas.
Parachute in the honeys.
Let's go. I do got to say, on a serious note, I think Kev does nail it. Sleeper cells are real, but it's going to be a slow drip. They won't go all at once. I think we're going to see ramifications of this, which is why I don't like us being involved. And I think we let in so many millions of people that were unvetted. I'm like, I don't like any of this.
Also, though, I think someone made a comment here about Biden. I mean, yeah, we got John over the Facebook, very active today on Facebook here. I think Facebook probably likes that we're going after Kristi Noem. So it said, all right, well, you guys can go after the Trump administration on that one. But yeah, it's Biden's fault. Again, when Biden opens the border to 20, 30 million unvetted immigrants, many of them will have affiliations with terrorist organizations, enemy nations. Jason, it turns out if you vet who comes into your country, you don't have as big of a problem like this.
Right. Well, and, we'll probably play the Brandon Gill video. I think we got that in there. But Brandon Gill's been doing a great job talking about this in Congress and in interviews. We're a Christian nation. Why would we bring people in that just hate us, and not vet them? And, like we talked about it with Somalia at length, there's huge Somali population. Somalia is the second worst nation in the world for Christians behind North Korea. Both of them just kill Christians. 17 million people in Somalia, less than 1,000 Christians. Why on earth would we bring folks that hate us into our country. It makes no sense.
All right, Jason. As promised, I know we got so much to cover this week. I wanted to get back to Barry and Barbara. I promised them a comment here. Barry, if you're still watching, he says, "Don't worry, I won't be supporting your page." A little typo there. He said he won't be supporting our site, won't be supporting our page. Jason, the thing is, he's probably mad that we're in Iran, and you and I are kind of like, well, if there was a good reason we get in Iran. These same people would put blue and yellow flags in their social media bios for years. They elected and voted for everybody that would send unlimited funds to Eastern Europe. They have no problem with wars. The problem with debating these libs, these far-left lunatics, is that they have no principles from which to base any of their arguments here. Well, Trump's in Iran, and that's a forever war, and that makes me think of George Bush. And they just completely ignore the fact that they were willing to send every dollar they ever earned to the government through taxation and confiscation to fund Zelensky's operations over there. They have no problem with foreign wars. They just have a problem when someone else is doing it. So, Barry, yeah, don't support our page because we're ambivalent about Iran right now.
Oh, man. And actually, Barry's clarifying. He's like, she did an outstanding job. And if you support her transfer, then you won't get any support for your page from me. We haven't even talked about Kristi Noem yet.
He's ready to go. Well, guess
he's
what?
ready to go.
And
we got Jeff. I want to touch on this point, too, because Jeff says, should have bondmen in the Stone Age when they stormed the embassy and took hostages under the Carter administration. Strong presence, get the job done, just like Reagan did, and it didn't take years. My opinion on any foreign entanglement, it was like when I was a young man. My stepdad hung out with bikers, and bikers are tough guys. And I remember they taught me how to fight. And they said, here's rule one of a fight. If you're going to get involved, end it as quickly and violently as possible.
Win.
Like, if you're going to hop in, get it done, and get out. And Donald Trump has taken that approach, which is what I've liked. It's funny because it is causing me to rethink our geopolitical strategy. Like, you look what's happening in Venezuela. Drops in, he black bags Maduro, brings him home, and then he tells the new government, like, are you guys going to get along, or like, do we got to stop back? And now they're announcing trade deals where we're getting Venezuelan oil. Like, that's effective. That's good. I wish he would drop in and black bag like Tim Walz, but you know, I'll take it.
But again, we can do it overseas. Isn't it? Yeah, you can't do it at home, though. You can do anything you want overseas. You don't need congressional authority, but Trump can't even arrest Tim Walz, who admitted in front of Congress that he greenlit spending for the Feeding Our Future Somali fraud program. He just said, the courts told me not to, but I restarted funding anyways for reasons. He's admitting in Congress that he committed a crime. I want to get back to Barbara's question, Jason. I think this is important. Do you guys ever think about the folks in all the countries? No. I honestly don't. Jason, I don't even think about the person living next to me most days. I cannot spare any emotional currency or any mental weight for people halfway around the world. I don't even do it for Americans. I don't even do it for people in the city I live in. I don't. I let them deal with their own problems. I am sorry that people find themselves in bondage, slavery. They're in a regime that won't give them freedoms. I hate that that's a thing. We got our own problems in America. Why should I be concerned about everybody else? I just can't do it. I don't have the time for it, the energy for it. I am sorry they're in those circumstances. I don't think about them. I don't think Americans should think about them. Why don't we focus on America and Americans? But that's the problem with all these feelers out there. They always feel for some intangible idea, some intangible person, and then they just ignore the plight in their own backyard. So no, I don't. I don't think about them, Jason.
Well, and yeah, here's what's interesting. You know, I want people to be safe and secure, and I want people to have, you know, the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. I want all those things. I'm a good Christian man. I can't get involved in other people's nonsense. And, you know, it's funny, Todd and I will talk about that when it comes to even friends and family. Like, if I have a friend or family member who's struggling and I'm there to help, great. But there reaches a point where at some point they've got to figure things out. And I just can't, you know, and as a nation, we've developed this ideology where it's our job to solve everybody's problems as a government. And it starts with, like, focus on your faith, your family, you know, and serving your country. So what are you going to do? If you do those three things, you're going to be successful in America, you know. But like other countries, they don't want, like, they have the government they want. And so, like, you take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and then you have.
Yeah, you're not a better person if you vote to steal my hard-earned money and have it shipped overseas to rescue these people or give them services. That doesn't make you a good person. It makes you a thief.
Oh my God!
At best, our tax dollars should be sent back into the country, but you're going to vote to have our tax dollars sent overseas so this person that can't feed themselves can eat and have 10 kids that can eat on your dime? Like, no, just no.
Yeah, I was wondering if we get into taxes. We probably shouldn't. I'm so mad because I did my taxes and I had to write huge checks to the government. And it's like, God, I hate taxes. Like half the money we make. Todd and I are small business owners. We're business partners. It's like half of what we make. We work all year and it's like, here you go, federal government. Like, no. Ugh.
Especially when you see it go into the pockets of these Somali pirates. Even at best, if I've said this before, Jason, all of my property taxes that have doubled since I bought the house here, if they went to a fantastic school system that didn't indoctrinate kids into gay race communism, I would still be opposed on principle. I don't want to pay for other kids' education. I pay for my kids' own daycare. I'm going to pay for their own private schooling. If you are a parent, you can provide for your own kid as well. You can feed them, shelter them, educate them on your own dime that comes with being a parent. So even in the best case scenario, I am opposed to taxation. But then you watch where it goes and you're like, Jesus, half the year I'm working hard so some Somali pirate that just got here can go drive a luxury minivan and fly home to this country he's supposedly oppressed in and vacation twice a year. Forget that.
Oh my gosh. Well, should we get to Kristi Noem?
We do. A lot of Facebook comments. Jason, can I just piss everyone off on Facebook right now?
Yeah.
I think the problem with a lot of our Facebook audience, not all of them, and thanks for watching, folks. Like I said, I got too much sleep last night on my own. The wife is gone. I had my own pot of coffee today, so I'm kind of fired up about all this. The problem, I think, with the Facebook audience is it's also a Fox News audience. I think that's the overlap that's a big problem here. So we got to defend Trump at certain times and attack him at other times. Fox is very weird about that. Kristi Noem, I am glad to see go. I'm just going to cut to the chase. I think that means Barry's no longer watching the show. Everyone else is saying Kristi Noem did a great job. Jason, I think Tom Homan and Stephen Miller are running DHS anyways. Kristi Noem seems like a vain, egocentric, and I use that in the Trump's egocentric, but in a good way because he has the right ideas and he goes in the right direction. Kristi Noem is truly in it for herself. She lied about spending $200 million of your tax dollars to put herself in promotional content for the government. We can talk about the affairs. I know I have a double standard when it comes to Noem and Trump's extramarital activities here. But Kristi Noem has been useless in her position, absolutely useless. If she had never been there, you would still see DHS and ICE and all the other doing the exact same thing because Stephen Miller, Tom Homan, and the agents on the ground are executing Trump's vision. I honestly don't know what Kristi Noem has done that is a positive or a net gain in any capacity, Jason.
Well, I think as we enter the Kristi Noem discussion, can you pull up that tweet I sent you?
Yeah, let me share some screen action here.
Yeah, I saw this today, and like this was Kristi Noem, the before and after. Kristi Noem on the left, nice, cute little gal. Kristi Noem on the right, okay. And when they were saying they were promoting her, and the left had a lot of funny names, calling her like Ice Barbie and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't know if they're wrong. Like, I'll be curious to see what Kristi Noem's competency level is. And I think Todd hit the nail on the head. I think Homan and Miller have been driving it. I think Kristi Noem was probably as much of a figurehead right now and a like supposedly trying to like fight back with the narrative. But every time she was fighting back, it was like a promotional video for her. Should we play the video that's rumored that got her fired?
Well, let's see. I don't know if you can say Donald Trump authorized spending when he didn't. This was interesting.
Can you, sorry to interrupt, but the president approved ahead of time you spending $220 million running TV ads across the country in which you are featured prominently.
Yes, sir. We went through the legal processes, did it correctly.
Did the president know you were going to do this?
Yes.
He did?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
I just have to point out, Jason, if you're an adult especially in Congress, and your response is, I know you're lying. I know you're lying. That's your tell right there. What are you, 5?
Yes.
And one thing, Senator, I think would be helpful to know is how effective that communications has been. That
Well, they were
overwhelmingly
effective in your name recognition. I mean, I personally just, I mean, to me, it puts the president in a terribly awkward spot. And and I'm not saying you're not telling the truth. It's just hard for me to believe, knowing the president as I do.
Yeah, you don't get to throw Trump under the bus like that.
I was gonna say, do you have the video too that she put together?
Let's see here. I don't know if it made our top 10 in the library.
Oh, it might not have. I dropped it in the Rumble thing. So Kristi Noem, we'll find the video. She made this promotional video for $200 million. And folks, if we're going to talk about like media and government spending, we should not be spending $200 million on Kristi Noem making a hype video for herself. Here's the video.
Why do I love these wide open spaces? They remind me of why our forefathers came here. Not just for its beauty, but for the freedom only America provides. I'm Kristi Noem. From the cowboys who tamed the West, to the titans who built our cities, to the dreamers who chased the impossible, America has always rewarded vision and grit. Our greatness calls people to us for a chance to prosper, to live how they choose, to become part of something special. Anyone who searches for freedom can always find a home here, but that freedom's a precious thing, and we defend it vigorously. You cross the border illegally, we'll find you. Break our laws, we'll punish you. Harm American citizens, there will be consequences. But if you come here the right way, your American dream can be as big as these endless skies. From President Trump and me, welcome home.
Who is that message for, by the way? So I'm going to spend $200 million of someone else's money because they don't care. I got the money. It's an unlimited budget. Who is this directed at? The immigrant population overseas that wants to come here? The American citizen that voted for Trump that already believes it? Like, who are we making this content for, Jason? That's a whole separate conversation, too.
Yeah, I was going to say, when the video first came out, I'm like, okay, this is not the greatest. And like, this feels like a campaign promotional video for Kristi Noem. And if you know anything about Trump, you don't overshadow the boss. You know what I mean? We've all been there. Like, I remember back when I was in retail, and, if you're an assistant manager and you're walking with the big shots from corporate and your store manager, you don't show up your store manager. You know your role. And like, I watch this video, I'm like, this is kind of Kristi Noem. It's like a Kristi Noem campaign video. And then she lied about it. And there are certain things you learn about President Trump. He is a loyalty guy. And he learned that, which was one of our big concerns after his first term. And so when she went up and it came out, Trump said, no, I didn't know about this $200 million. She put him in a spot. So Donald Trump got her out. No, I will give Donald Trump credit, and I think Dee Dee mentioned it in the video. He didn't fire her. He made her the special envoy for the Shield of America's Western Hemisphere. So as part of his new Monroe Doctrine, I think they're calling it the Trump Doctrine.
The Don Rowe Doctrine.
Securing the Western Hemisphere. It's a figurehead. It's giving a lot of speeches. It's having a lot of meetings. I think that's going to fit Kristi Noem's skill set phenomenally. And I think Kristi screwed up. It's kind of like Walz, not Tim Walz, but the other Walz. When they screwed up and had a leak, it's like, okay, you are now the ambassador to whatever country. Or who is Don Jr. dating? And now
Kimberly
she's
Guilfoyle. They had to send her to Greece, Jason.
Yeah, she's now the ambassador to Greece. So Trump's doing a good job of, okay, I got to get you out of the cabinet. Like, clearly you did something wrong, but I'm not going to fire you. I'm going to give you this other opportunity to go do it. Oh yeah, thanks, Kev. It's the Don Rowe Doctrine. So
Yeah, and Trump's letting her down easy. I mean, she was fired for all intents and purposes, but he's letting her save some face. No, Kristi, I just have a new important job for you that we just made up 5 seconds ago to let her land with a parachute. This one was interesting to me, though, Jason. Again, I'm conflicted about Iran. I can see both sides. I'm also conflicted about Kennedy exposing her. I think Kennedy drew that straw. They all take a turn. He already knew what Trump was going to do. I think it was all part of the script and the plan. Like, let's just get Noem out in front of the camera. She'll have to defend this indefensible action here. You know, get little Trump's not the bad guy. Trump, his hand was played. He had to fire Noem because she lied about this. But why are Republicans going after one another? Again, I'm not crying tears over Noem being out. I don't think Noem did anything. I think Noem's in it for herself. I don't trust her. Side note, Jason, any conservative woman in politics, I'm going to sound like a misogynist here, but like you look at the conservative social media or women, they're basically feminists in disguise. Someone like Kristi Noem, she's climbing the ranks because she's in love with the idea of being a powerful woman here. So I don't trust them for the most part in general. You could say the same thing about most men, by the way, so I'm not just going after women exclusively. But when have we ever showed this, like getting a Democrat fired? You know, George Santos, we made resign. We're going to make this Gonzalez character resign. He's a Republican. Democrats never resign. They never attack one another. Like, there's a time and a place to get rid of Noem, fine. But Democrats would never do this. They would never do this. Like, the Trump coalition is already fractured. And again, let's get the right people in the Trump admin, fine. But at the same time, the optics of just like the infighting, Charlie Kirk dies, now we split up. Trump's firing Noem, now we're splitting up. We need unity still. We just need America first.
Yeah, this could have been handled so much better where Donald Trump just makes the announcement that, hey, we're going to move Noem into this job. And, hey, we're going to move Markwayne Mullin, which we'll see how he does. We'll talk more about him in future episodes. But it could have been handled so much smoother. I don't know why Kennedy threw gas on the fire, but he did, and he called it out. And then she's getting whacked. And it's funny, too, people defending, and Kennedy's funny. I love his videos. You know, he plays that like, I'm just a country boy, but he's like Oxford educated. He's like a lawyer. He's super smart. What I don't like is, you know, people, especially on the right, are defending this, and we got to keep shooting other Republicans in the foot. Like, well, we can't throw stones at the other side. There is an active member in the Democrat caucus that oversees Jeffrey Epstein's island as their congressional district, Stacey Plaskett or whatever her name is. And she was getting texts from Epstein during Trump's impeachment trial, and she's still serving. Like, come on, guys. Can we eliminate the friendly fire?
All right. I got to clear. Facebook really loves Kristi. Jason, I'm actually shocked. Maybe the headline drew in some folks that wouldn't have tuned in otherwise here, but Tony's over on Facebook saying Noem did an amazing job. Becky's over there calling us idiots because you do all realize she got reassigned to a different position. Sorry, but you didn't get rid of her. LOL, because you're dumb. Here's the thing, Becky. She's in a figurehead position. They made up a position to keep her busy and let her land on her feet gently. Kristi Noem was fired. She's not going to have any relevance anymore in the Trump administration. Kristi Noem's not even a doer, Jason. I'm sorry to say this. Kristi Noem is the face for any apparatus organization she's a part of, but she's not the doer. I don't even think she's the idea person. She is just there to look pretty and steward the organization with as little action as possible. She's gone, Becky. I don't know what else you want to say. We got rid of her. She's not at DHS anymore. She didn't do anything at DHS in the first place. I don't know. Jason, are we not explaining this well enough for our... I
don't know. Maybe they're seeing the earlier part of the podcast, and we were never big Noem fans.
Nope.
So Noem going into a new job, getting somebody else in there. I wish he would have just made Holman in charge of DHS myself. Correct. Holman seems pretty effective, pretty lethal. Seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders. But anyways, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? I think the thing is in those cabinet positions, Jason, Pete Hegseth seems like an idea guy and a go-getter and a doer. Holman will still run the show. I think Markwayne might bring some fresh air, some ideas, and support what's going on here. But I want the Stephen Miller vision to be executed, which is we will find and arrest and deport every illegal alien in this country.
All of them.
If Markwayne can get on board with that, fantastic.
Right. Well, and I think the other piece to it is if you look at the numbers of deportations, now the administration has done an amazing job. 10 out of 10 closing the border. Nobody's coming in. They've even shut down a bunch of legal immigration. Great job. We've got 20 million people that need to go back home. And however you want to do it, get them home, let them come back in the right way, all those things but they shouldn't be here. We shouldn't allow that as a country. So,
Yeah, and Jason, Mickey over on Facebook, this has been fun today. This is why we do it. Mickey says, I think you're all nothing but predators, and you should be banned from newscasting. You are slime.
Right.
No evidence, nothing we have said. But Mickey, maybe you can clarify what makes us predators and slime. I'll wait. I don't think they never have anything, Jason. That's the thing. They don't have any reason. I feel this way, so I'm going to say it.
I will say what's interesting too is we have done this show for like 3 years. We are super big Trump guys, and we take the administration position. It's amazing how many people who presumably are Trump voters that are like, oh, you didn't like the Noem hire? Yeah, we didn't like him when we hired her. We said that.
I never liked Kristi Noem. Sue me. I didn't like her in Congress. I didn't like her in the governor's office in South Dakota. I definitely didn't like her in the Trump administration. So what?
Right? Oh, God, and Kevin, this is my spirit animal.
Yeah.
Stephen Miller needs to oversee every agency. A middleman rolling up to Trump and not a feckless chief of staff role. Oh, I said it the other day. I was talking to a friend of mine, and they're like, oh, what do you think of Steve Miller? I'm like, God, I wish he could be president. I followed Stephen Miller since the Duke lacrosse case. People don't know the first time anybody ever heard of him. When Duke lacrosse came out, he was the guy that defended the Duke lacrosse team. And I'm like, man, this guy's taking all kinds of flack. And that whole story sounded like crap from the start. And then it took a few years and it came out. And Stephen Miller, and they were right. Duke lacrosse, he made it up. And then the girl who made up the story went on to kill her boyfriend and stuff. It was crazy. So, yeah.
But the left has a knack for making the worst human beings their heroes and martyrs without fail every single time. I'm having fun today, Jason. Claire says, Todd, the one thing that totally infuriates me is incompetence. Incompetence, uppercase. The irony here is that she misspelled incompetence. You can't make that. Your lack of knowing the facts is beyond belief. I don't know what facts we've misstated, Claire. I don't even think Jason and I have taken a strong position. We're just like, here's both sides of everything. But Claire, I would love for you to say what facts Jason and I don't have correct here so far in this show here, as we've talked about Iran and Noem.
Oh, my gosh. What do we move on to next, Todd? There's so much fun stuff.
Well, so it's not in the headline, Jason, but it was in the show's description here. We mentioned Jasmine Crockett a little bit. Woke Jasmine Crockett, whose seat got redistricted. It disappeared in Texas, and she wanted to stay relevant because Jasmine Crockett is absolutely useless. But she says, the only thing I'm good for is sound bites in politics. She has no marketable skills, no real-world job skills. She's like, if I'm not in Congress, I'm probably going to be flipping burgers. So she runs for the Senate seat in the Texas Democrat primary, and she loses, Jason. Jasmine Crockett, with all the name recognition, all the sound bites, all the love from the media, she loses. It's interesting how she explains her loss, by the way. We might have to get into that a little bit. I pulled up a clip here. But then we got to talk about the guy that actually beat her, and it's frightening that Texas voters chose someone even worse than Jasmine Crockett. So that's where we're at in the Democrat Party.
Oh, yeah. Hang on one sec, too, though. Kevin's over here fact-checking me, and I just got to clarify. When I say Stephen Miller was defending them, he wasn't defending them in a lawyer capacity. He was a student, and he was the face of the Duke team. He got himself involved in something that wasn't even his deal. And, anyways. Yeah, but now let's go see what Jasmine Crockett has to say.
So that's my news, is that we're not going to have election results tonight, in my opinion.
Well, we did, and she lost.
Based upon what specifically is taking place in Dallas County. Unfortunately, this is what Republicans like to do. And so they specifically targeted Dallas County, and I think we all know why. So I want you to enjoy yourselves, but I won't be back tonight because I have no idea of when we're going to get results, and I fully anticipate it won't be until tomorrow. So I love y'all too.
Jason, the word schadenfreude was invented for moments just like this. I take immense pleasure watching Jasmine suffer. I love it. This makes me feel so good to see this awful human being miserable. I might cry tears of joy.
Ugh. Jasmine Crockett is one of the dumbest and just awful people ever to serve in government. She runs on nothing but hatred and vitriol. I mean, go exist in the podcast space like us. Like I'm not a politician. I get to call people names. Like, what are you gonna do? But when people watch this, I want, like, Dallas is like 65-35 Republican. Republican is the 35. It's like a 7 out of 10. And Democrats in Dallas County control everything. It's like in Minneapolis in Minnesota, where Democrats control all the government, all the everything. The fact that she can say there was shenanigans and that's what the Republicans do is such a brain dead thing. And only the most low IQ is going to fall for that. It would be like somebody in Minneapolis complaining about those dirty Republicans in Minneapolis. They have zero power. They have nothing they can do. And the other thing it'll show you, though, tying into the Kennedy thing, she could have ripped on the Democrat establishment. She could have ripped on James Tarico, however we pronounce his name, which we're going to get into in a sec. She chose not to. This is one thing we need to understand on the right. Democrats, like, she thinks there's shenanigans in the election, but she won't even say it was from the Democrats. And that's part of why they win. It's crazy.
She has, as we would say about Bernie, Jason, she took the book deal. Bernie Sanders knew 2016 was stolen. Jasmine Crockett's probably correct there were shenanigans on the Democrat side because she is unelectable statewide. That is just pure objective fact. Jasmine Crockett had no chance in a statewide Senate election. And so the machine churned out this guy that does sound bites. I guess he's photogenic. I have serious concerns about his physiognomy and certainly his belief system, but Tallarico is well-spoken. He is less divisive, we'll say. Jasmine Crockett's got a political history now. She wasn't going to win. And so, yeah, it was probably stolen from her in a sense that Democrats pumped money into Tallarico's campaign. But if you follow Jasmine's logic, you have to believe that Republicans, with their mighty war chest, decided to support James Tallarico, a man that we'll get to in a second, by the way, that said God is non-binary, there are 6 genders, only trans women get to heaven, and calls himself a devout Christian who reads and understands the Bible. They chose a demon. People are calling him the Antichrist, Jason. It's like, I don't know if they're wrong. I'm not going to fact check them on this, but like, this man is a demon. He is a carnation of demonic forces. But Jasmine Crockett is just pure cope right here. Pure cope from a loser.
Well, and here's the thing with Jasmine that is important for people on the left don't understand this very much. Now, I was having conversation with lefty family member, and they're on the lower rungs, and it's Elon's fault that my life sucks and corporations, and I said, for your sake, I hope the communists don't win. And they're like, what do you mean? I'll get free healthcare, I'll get free this, I'll get free that. And I said, no, for all you haven't studied history that they like to tell conservatives, I'm like, you really haven't studied history. You have no idea what happens to the unproductive people in society in communist countries once they take power. Jasmine Crockett is an example of that. The communists, the Democrat establishment, they saw somebody that had a low likelihood of getting elected. Jasmine Crockett now works at the Waffle House. And, she'll take the book deal. She'll do her podcast tour. They do a pretty good job. It's like Bernie, when they stole the election from Bernie. They're like, here's your book deal. Here's your mansions. Go shut up. And he did. And he's still around causing a little trouble. But for Democrats, here's what's going to be bizarre, just to give a little history. So ever since like Clinton's and Gore, I don't think in my lifetime the Democrat voter has actually picked a Democrat nominee. And I'll say that. So Barack Obama, if you remember, he won his Senate election. It was kind of shaky. It was kind of weird how he won his Senate election back in Chicago. It was all Chicago politics. And then he gave a speech at the Democrat National Convention, really good, compelling speech. And then when he was up for nomination, it was like, this is your guy. The machine picked Barack. And then after Barack, the machine picked Hillary. Even though the voters picked Bernie, the machine picked Hillary. And then if you look, the machine was going to pick somebody that they didn't like Tulsi was making waves. There's people making waves in the last primary. And they said, okay, here's your Joe Biden. Here's who you're voting for. And that's how it shook down. The most egregious example was Kamala, because everybody knew Joe Biden was cooked. Everybody knew Joe Biden wouldn't win the election, shouldn't be running the government. We covered it for a year before Joe Biden dropped out. Todd and I did an episode, who will the Democrat nominee be? And we knew it wasn't going to be Joe Biden. And they waited till their primary was done to drop out Joe to drop in Kamala. So the Democrat machine picked who the nominee is going to be. In this case with Jasmine Crockett, they're like, you are no longer useful. Kev, Oprah picked Barack. That is true. And but it, like, the machine said, Jasmine, you can't win, so we're going to drop in Terlico. And we covered it a few weeks ago. It started with this Colbert thing, where Colbert starts getting his name out because he's going to do an interview with Talpico, and they said, well, no, you got to do one with Crockett too, and they didn't want to. Like, Donald Trump never said you can't air this interview. They said, well, you got to interview your political opponent too. And yeah, so anyways, Todd.
Yep, just another sellout, just another low IQ sellout there. But I'm happy to see her go. I mean, Tallarico is frightening prospect if Texas actually elects a Democrat senator, especially this guy. But again, no tears lost over Jasmine Crockett's defeat here. This woman is as low IQ as it gets.
Right. Well, and we'll show the James Tallarico video. So we've mentioned him on the podcast, and I brought him up to Wayne. This guy is a state senator in Texas, clean-cut looking white dude. And I call him the white Obama. I'm going to try to make that a thing on the internet. He is the white Obama. And if you listen to what he says, it is crazy. But we were talking about this guy, and it's wait till you see these clips we've put together. And actually, I think Colin Rugg put them together. And we grabbed them from Colin.
Before we do, Jason, there was one comment I wanted to make, and it sounded smart in my head here before we move on here. So you had talked about the people that don't know history, the communists in your family. I have communists in my family here. My new question for them is, though, like, when communism fails, when the wall comes down, when the regime is replaced, are the masses happy or sad about that? So the people in history that have experienced communism, what is their reaction when that communist government goes away?
Right.
I see. So we'll leave that rhetorical there. But here is Tallarico. We got two clips in no particular order.
Take back Texas. To the billionaires who have taken over our state and taken over our country, your unchecked power is coming to an end. Your days dividing working people are numbered. To the people of Texas, no matter how you voted in the primary, this election is our chance to take power back for ourselves and our communities. We're done being divided. We're done being played. We're done being pitted against each other. That old politics is dying, and a new politics is being born.
It would be fascinating to break down his speech line by line and explain how he's wrong, Jason. I'm frightened by him. Like you said, he's a white Obama. Let's make white Obama a thing.
Yeah, well, here's what here's what's interesting. So, and I think we have that other batch of old.
Yeah, I just wanted him to sound politician-y,
right.
That's his stage presence. So it's convincing for the low IQ brainwashed sheep.
So you look, the guy's got clean cut, well spoken, talks about like kind of being a moderate, working together, taking things back. And this is like Barack Obama when he was running. And like at the time, I didn't get into the news like I do now. I saw a speech like that could have been Barack Obama giving that speech. And you'd be like, yeah, this guy's normal. But then when you see like his real speeches, it's terrifying.
Yeah. And then apparently, Jason, I'm having so much fun today. Facebook is so hung up on Kristi Noem. Hey guys, she hasn't been fired, only moving to a different department to work on illegal drug trafficking. Fine. I can't get to do it again, Jason, but Facebook loves Kristi Noem. That's my
She's
takeaway.
the border czar. Congratulations.
In Antonio, I taught a lot of students who were undocumented. And I don't want to stereotype, but those students tended to be the most patriotic, the hardest working students that I had in the classroom. And again, I haven't stated this enough to say this definitively, but there are interpretations of certain passages from the Torah where some folks will even say that there is some subtle instructions for how to perform an abortion in the ancient world, certain things to drink, things like that. Before we go further, I want to acknowledge that our trans community needs abortion care too. Defending trans Texans is something we have to do every day at the state capitol. And you better believe I'll be giving sermons on that too. I want us all to be aware of is that modern science obviously recognizes that there are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are 6. Is both masculine and feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary. So this idea that to be a Christian means you have to be anti-gay and anti-abortion, there really is no historical, theological, biblical basis for that opinion. So this idea that to be a Christian means you have to be anti-gay and anti-abortion, there really is no historical, theological, biblical.
I had to jump in. Sodom and Gomorrah comes to mind, Jason, but other than that, there's no reference.
Basis for that opinion. And if you think about it from a Christian perspective, something interesting that Jesus does throughout his ministry is he is breaking first century norms about women, talking with women, learning from women, having women lieutenants in his movement. And this was something that was kind of unheard of in the first century. The longest conversation Jesus has with anybody in the whole Bible is with the Samaritan woman at the well. And so this affirmation of women as full and equal people is a huge part of the Jesus movement, especially the early church. And then the last, I think, story I would go to is the story of Mary. Mary is probably my favorite figure in the Bible, the mother of Jesus.
Not Jesus or God. No, but Mary.
And, she's an oppressed peasant teenage girl living in poverty under an oppressive empire as a Jew. And she has a vision from God that she's going to give birth to a baby who's going to bring the powerful down from their thrones, going to scatter the proud, who's going to send the rich away empty. I mean, this revolutionary song that she sings, it's called the Magnificat. And it's actually been banned by certain authoritarian regimes because it is so radical. But I say all this in context of abortion because before God comes over Mary and we have the incarnation, God asks for Mary's consent, which is remarkable. I mean, go back and read this in Luke. I mean, the angel comes down and asks Mary if this is something she wants to do. And she says, if it is God's will, let it be done. Let it be. Let it happen. So to me, that is an affirmation in one of our most central stories that creation has to be done with consent.
Good Lord. I can't believe we made it through the entire clip, Jason.
I wanted to stop it like 12 times. Like, let's start out saying like illegals are way better than What? And I think I love when Kev attends the podcast too. We had some great chats we were pulling up, but this might be my favorite. He is a moron, but unchallenged idiots will hear it as smart. here's what's funny is even challenged idiots will hear it as smart. Like, I don't know. I'm not a biblical scholar. Now, this guy is actually attending the seminary. He's, I think, in his 40s, never had a job. I think he's gay, not sure. But, the Bible's pretty clear. Men, women, you belong together. Like, that's kind of the thing. They don't go as far as the Muslims that are like, hey, throw them off buildings if you aren't into that. But, like, it's a sin. There's a lot of sins. Don't do that sin. It's insane. But this guy, when I hear him speak, he is white Obama, where he is talking about the most insane ideas that any Christian would hear and go, are you nuts? And he's just delivering it very convincingly and very like, oh, maybe this isn't so bad. I'm insane.
Just all of it. I do love the chat. A side note here. We're debating whether or not to send him to Gaza or as a missionary to Iran.
Right.
I won't be sad with either of those choices here, but that seems like the only solution. The problem with people like this, they sound smart, but they say nothing. He says nothing except he's subverting Christianity. He is subverting your morals and your worldview. I taught illegals in Phoenix, Jason. I was a teacher there for 5 years. They were good enough kids. Turns out kids are kids for the most part. But to say that they're better, what a middle finger to this country. No, they're not better. If you want to say like they're kids like American kids, citizen kids, like I'm not going to disagree. Fine. They're there. They do their shenanigans as teenagers. But to go a step further and say illegals are actually better than Americans, they're more patriotic. No, what a load of crap. I'm pretty patriotic. My kid can now say who the president is. I feel guilty, Jason. I've taught my 5.5-year-old the name Donald Trump. He's our president. Here's why we like him. So I'm starting to indoctrinate her into the conservative worldview, but the alternative is like the gay race communist worldview. So I'm like, I have to get in front of this.
Right.
But everything he said, every single, like it's the Bible condones abortion. And he doesn't cite it. They never cite anything. Just matter of fact, hey guys, the Bible says abortion is justified. And so the sheep out there just like, well, see, I told you. And they don't even believe in the Bible. Democrats always love to weaponize your religion against you. They don't even believe it themselves. But, well, your religion says it's okay, so now it's okay.
Right. Well, and I got to say, too, it's fascinating when, like, they try to use, like, the Bible for abortion. Like, read the Bible. Yeah. Like, it pretty much has a, like, everybody's special. Everybody's infused with the peace of God, created in God's vision. And like you should like here's your rules for living in a productive society. And I actually went down his take on abortion, and there is some passage in the Bible that they talk about some drug they could give the girls to stop a pregnancy. And I'm like, you're taking one reference out of thousands of pages and recorded history saying, see, that matches my worldview. And I'm like, read the Bible. At no point would anybody with a brain read a Bible and go like, yeah, I think God really wanted us to kill babies, God, because like God didn't even want you like having sex before marriage. So you wouldn't even be getting it about it. It's so frustrating.
That's also stupid. God loves his creation so much. He wants you to play judge, jury, and executioner with his children. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. Now, I got to say, I want to show the both ends of the Facebook spectrum. Interesting that the first political appointee to be terminated during the Trump administration is a woman in high-profile Hyde Man, not Tim Walz. What's her name? The anti-American congresswoman, Wendell Smalia, B word, and Tim Walz be terminated. Actually, the first person terminated was Mike Walz. Not Tim Walz. He was transferred positions.
I don't even think Elise Stefanik got into her position, right? Like there have been other people that have moved around.
Yeah, I just don't understand what the reference is that the first person terminated is a woman. Like, can we get past that? But I will say I got to give a shout out to Nancy. This might be the best summary comment on Kristi Noem. I loved her until she did a stupid thing and lied about the cost of her commercials and on the horse and said he knew about the cost, which he didn't. He's giving her a chance by reassigning her to another department, not yet revealed. So much. I think that's the great take. Like Kristi Noem wasn't doing great at her job. she screwed over the boss. Luckily for her, like, here's a new job. Go have a good time. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a little more generous than I was, but I got to go back to this too, Jason. This kind of ties into my previous comment about women in politics. The problem with having grown up for the last post-World War II order, so 60 going on 70 years here, is that women have been brainwashed into feminism, whether they know it or not. It's just become normalized. So Barbara might hold conservative positions, but guess what? She will always identify as a woman first. And so that means you will always find victimhood where none exists if it affects a woman. Barbara would not have this opinion if Kristi Noem were named Mark Wayne Mullen and roles were reversed and he was kicked out and Noem replaced him. She would be like, Mark Wayne has to go. He hasn't done anything. But because Kristi Noem is female, Barbara's feminist drive kicks in whether she knows it or not here. And Barbara, you probably voted for Trump. Maybe not. As Kev says, she has a nice photo. It could be a Facebook troll as well. But that is the problem. Boy, I'm going to sound really anti-woman when I say this, but it is so dangerous. Feminism has taken such a stronghold in culture that they might have conservative values, but then they still fall back on the I'm a woman.
Right. And we'll touch in on a couple comments here. Then we'll get out of here. Head to Rumble only. She's not being fired, is being promoted to another position. Stop the left-wing propaganda. It's so funny. I love it.
Loves Kristi Noem here. And look at our title of our show. She's relieved of DHS duty. We didn't even talk about her getting fired in the headline here. She's moving on. Your comment just agrees with us. Yes, she is moving to a new position. But
now I got to say too, though, James, I got to invite over to the Rumble only. We do an hour on Facebook, YouTube, all the platforms, and then we do a half hour over on Rumble. I have all kinds of closet James, and I'm not afraid to talk about them.
We all have skeletons. All right, Jason, I got to set up Rumble here. We have got to talk about some insanity in Minnesota. We've got to talk about some hilarious BLM hypocrisy. And I don't know what this is, a Care 11 clip, but I don't know what I think we had a Somali pirate fraudster arrested or found guilty. The local Minnesota news covered it.
It's going nuts. All right. Well, folks, thank you for tuning in. Join it. Todd, explain the Rumble only, and then let's get out of here.
Before I do that, I know we alluded to Split Rock Coffee earlier, folks, but if you want to support a disabled veteran-owned coffee company right here in Minnesota where Jason and I broadcast from, you can check out splitrockcoffee.com. That is splitrockcoffee.com. Use promo code Todd10. And Paul is not in the chat today, but Paul is the proud owner of splitrockcoffee.com. Subscribe and save today, though. So I have just finished my entire pot of Split Rock coffee. I do French press now. I don't know if you call that a pot. But, folks, we are not done with the show. We are signing off on Facebook and YouTube because there are some things we want to talk about, joke about, make light of, get serious about that the big tech overlords simply don't want you to hear. So we value our Facebook properties too much and our Kristi Noem loving Facebook audience apparently too much to get nuked and not be able to podcast in front of you again. But we are still going live on Rumble. Rumble is a free speech platform. It is just like YouTube, except you can say what you want. Rumble.com, search out the American Tribune, and we'll be live on the podcast feed at the top of your desktop banner. If you get the app on your phone, it's a little green play button, and it operates much the same way. And on that note, Sandra says, Kristi did a great job. Leave her alone. We are going to be back in 60 seconds, folks. Facebook audience, we'll see you on Rumble.